Hi everybody, Logan with Enduro Engineering. Today we're going to show you how to install the new spark arrestor end caps on the 2-stroke KTM and Husqvarna 2020 Plus TPI models. Alright, we're going to go over what you need to install your Enduro Engineering spark arrestor end cap. In your kit you'll have an instructions, a drill bit, your Enduro Engineering end cap, your spark arrestor screen, insert. You'll also have 2 5x16 Allen bolts, and you will have 7 5x10 button head Torx bolts. What you will need to supply is a drill, a T25 Torx wrench, a 4mm Allen, an 8mm T-handle or socket. You may need a punch, you will need a hammer, and you will need a 2x4 approximately 18 to 20 inches or something similar to it. So take your 8mm T-handle or socket, and you're going to remove the silencer off of the bike. Okay, the next step, you're going to take your drill with a supplied drill bit, and you're going to drill out each one of these rivets on the end cap. After you get all the rivets drilled out, you may need to take a punch and a hammer and punch out the rest of the rivet. Alright, your next step is going to be you're going to take your Torx wrench. It's a T25. You're going to remove all of these Torx bolts, and then you're going to slide the canister off of the exhaust. Okay, once you have all of the Torx bits bolts out, you're just going to want to slide the canister right off. Depending on how old the silencer is, how long you've been using it, the newer ones are obviously going to slide off a little easier, but you just pull on the canister and pulls it right out. Next step, you're going to want to pull out your silencer packing. Depending on how old it is, it's going to be easier to get it out. If it's newer, obviously it'll slide right out. If it's older, you may have to work it a little bit side to side. You just slide that right out. If your packing is broke down, this would be a good time to replace your packing. Next step, you're going to put the silencer in a vise. Then you're going to take a small chunk of 2x4. Obviously you want it a little bit longer than the silencer. Slide it right in the end of the silencer, and then use a hammer, and you're just going to slowly work the end cap out of the end of the canister. It shouldn't take too long. It'll end up working itself out, and then you just got the end cap out, and this would be a good time to clean out the inside of your canister. Your next step, now that you've got this all cleaned out, you're going to take your packing, slide it back onto the core, and then take your core and slide it back into the canister. You want to slide it in, but don't get it all the way on. Leave yourself a little bit of space, that way you've got room to pack in this silencer packing for your end cap. The next step is you're going to want to take your supplied insert and your supplied 5x10 Torx bolts. If you take your insert, you'll notice that there's a machined out spot. That's where your screen is going to set. So where there's a lip on the insert, you're going to have that in the inside of the exhaust with the spot for your screen facing outward. So you're just going to slide that in. You may have to push the packing down a little bit. Slide that in until you have your bolts lined up. Then take your button heads and start them by hand. I'd get all 7 of them started and then go ahead and tighten them down. Once you have all your Torx bits started, all 7 of them, take your T25 Torx wrench and go ahead and tighten them all down. Okay, once you have all your Torx bolts tightened down on your end cap insert, you left this side a little bit loose. Go ahead and just use your finger and line up the core to the hole of the insert, and then just work the silencer down. You may have to tap it to get your bolts to line up, and then line up the Torx bolts on this end and tighten these as well. Okay, once you have this lined up, take the same Torx bolts that you pulled out of this end of the canister and just get them all started by hand. Once you have them all started by hand, go through and tighten them again with your T25 Torx wrench. Okay, next step, you're going to have your screen, which these are replaceable. You can also pull this end cap off. and clean it or replace it if need be. But you just slide this right on. This is a machined out circle. It should just rest in there nicely. And then take your end cap and line it up. Hold it in place. And then you have your supplied Allen wrench bolts that you'll just slide right in there. And get them started. Then once you have those Allens started, take your 4mm Allen and just tighten those both down. Okay. Okay, lastly, you're just going to take your silencer with your new Enduro Engineering Spark Arrestor end cap and reinstall it onto your bike. Now that your bike is completed with the Enduro Engineering USFS forestry approved spark arrestor, you're ready to take your two-stroke out and go squirt some dirt.